another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, JP's first son, Tim Hoey, and Uncle Joe will be joining us very shortly. Well, boys, we have another great show for you tonight, so let's get it started. We start with the Patriots. If anyone could have predicted that the Patriots would win 45-0 and have 68 yards of offense through the air, clearly, Russ, that's never been done in the history of the NFL.
You used to put on the hat. What'd you call yourself when you used to put on the hat?
Oh my God, I can't.
We're getting old, but
I'll remember
even Scott Kerman, putting on his crystal ball wearing hat could not have predicted 45-0. No one had that.
No, that was this season has been again a referendum to me on Bill Belichick. I just thought the games against Seattle and the games against Kansas City they stayed in those games because of Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and well, you forgot the big one, the Baltimore Ravens game, right? Where they managed to contain Lamar Jackson in a way that the Cowboys couldn't last night. Every big third down and long possession, he would just take off, and Belichick finally managed to contain him, kept him in the pocket.
Yeah, Joe made a great point to me that it seems like they don't care about Cam Newton getting hurt anymore. Run away. He had 13, 14.
When you look at it, right? You're a football player, right? Could you ever say, I don't know, would you be saying to Lamar Jackson, don't run, Well,
of course they do. They got to protect themselves.
I know, but that's, when Newton has to run. He has to run because his arm isn't going to do it by himself.
But there are times, Timmy and Russ, that in this season that he wasn't running much. There were games that he was staying back in the pocket. They clearly realized that this year they're not going to win without Cam Newton rushing minimum 10 times a game.
Yeah, you don't want Tom Brady running. You don't want Peyton Manning running those pocket passes, but that's, 50% of what Cam Newton brings to the table is his running.
Okay, so we're 6-6. All of a sudden, tomorrow's night's game against the Rams is a must-win to keep us in the race. Our interest has never been higher in this season for tomorrow night's game. Look, they had the recipe for the 2018 Super Bowl to beat the Rams. Rams are a tough team. How do the Patriots win this game tomorrow?
He's going to have to come up with a hell of a game plan again because the Rams look good. All of us, they looked pretty bad last year. They look good again, and this is going to be This is going to be a game plan game, right? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, it's going to have to be a short game. You're going to have to time of possession will have to be 40 minutes to 20 minutes. Patriots turnovers. They're going to have to special teams. They're going to have to do some good things like they did last week. They're going to almost have to play the perfect game to beat the Rams in LA.
Yep. Get some turnovers. They're going to need a turnover or two, probably. It's the same formula as last week. Special teams, turnovers. I mean, has there ever been a wider gap in coaching than there was last week? When we've all learned over the years that special teams is about coaching and preparedness. And Bill Belichick cleaned Anthony Lynn's clock 5 times over last week.
Oh my goodness. Oh, just on special teams alone. I mean,
but that kind of validates Bill Belichick.
Special teams for them.
And Anthony just went berserk. He was only down 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, and he immediately abandoned the run when he was running all over the Patriots. He just went crazy and just sacrificed that rookie to the Patriots.
Well, we always joke that every player Bill Belichick drafts has to be good in special teams, whether you're the first round pick or a guy coming off the street. And then you have games like on Sunday, and it validates everything he's talking about.
Are we at the point where, because we've talked a few times over the last 5-6 years, has Belichick lost a little off his fastball as a coach? I sort of feel like he's lost a lot off of his fastball as a GM, but he hasn't lost up much of anything off his fastball as a coach.
I disagree, Russ, because here he is. He's spent the least amount of money of any team in the NFL over the last 5 years, and had a very successful team. This year, there's one team spending less than him this year, and he still manages to put something together. And that's his job, is to make money.
Timmy, what was your point?
Yeah. Well,
I would say Sunday's game was one of his greatest coaching performances. That was a win by coach on Sunday. He totally baffled their quarterback. Who's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. That kid has looked very, very good in a lot of games this year, and he looked befuddled on Sunday. Yeah. Belichick toyed with them.
It's the same defense that we saw the Jets torch in the first half of the game a few weeks ago, and all of a sudden they're shutting out. You're right, Timmy. A really good offensive team where Herbert's 300 plus yards a game.
I thought Gilmore has come to play the last 2 weeks. He shut out Hopkins and then Keenan Allen back to back. Pretty good performances.
Yeah, he was. His reputation as Defensive Player of the Year was questionable, but the moment
how many times do they mention that? How many times do they mention he's reigning Defensive Player of the Year per broadcast? It's got to be
a long broadcast.
I'd like to do an over/under wager with Vegas. How many times per game they mention that on the network?
I just wanted to say that because I've been bad-mouthing Gilmore up to that, but the last 2 weeks he's been outstanding.
You knew Gilmore was engaged, Russ, when he was up in Allen's face and gave him a nice elbow shiver when he got off the line one play. You hadn't seen that one Gilmore in a long time.
No, and he actually came up to support the run defense every once in a while, which is it's like once in a blue moon.
You're
right. Maybe Bill had a little talk with Gilmore and said that it's not too late to hold the money on the $5 million extra. Somehow they could get the wire back. I don't know. He definitely looked inspired. A question we ask each week, and to me, it still hangs over the Patriots, is the future of Cam Newton. Look, I would like to see Cam Newton at this moment in time be the backup quarterback next year and a guy they put in for 10, 15 plays, for red zone plays, third down, fourth down plays. Is that a perfect role for Cam Newton moving forward? Because he's not a starting quarterback.
Like the Saints are doing right now?
I think he has too much pride to accept that role, though.
What's that?
He's just too proud. He's been a starter, for the last 20 years, in between college, pros, everything. And that's all he's ever been. I don't think he would accept a second string role.
Yeah, I think you've got to start to put together the long-term plan of quarterback. I think we can all agree with that, right?
Yeah.
So whatever combination of players to start you putting together the long-term answer to quarterback needs to start soon, like right now. And if you think that Newton can be a piece of that, then you try to retain him. But if you don't, there's going to be some I think we should have the conversation about Carson Wentz. Would you, if you could trade for Carson Wentz, would you trade for Carson Wentz? He makes a reasonable amount of money that the Patriots would need to play him. He's 27 years old.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not a big fan of Carson Wentz.
There's also Zach Prescott or Sam Darnold also might be available. Remember, Dallas has got the 4th pick now. They might go quarterback.
And there's always Jimmy G floating around
out there. There you go. It starts and ends with Jimmy G.
Second round pick back, Scotty.
It starts and ends with Jimmy G. Look, if Jimmy G's your first priority in the offseason, he knows the program. The guy makes all the throws. He's a ball manager. That's all you need and if you strengthen your defense and you have Harris and a good offensive line.
You know, one of the great lines of all time. Have we ever seen Gordon Hayward and Jimmy G in the same room?
Yeah.
Well,
this is what gets me, Scotty. This is what gets me about you. You bash the hell out of Gordon Hayward, right? And Jimmy
Absolutely.
G is the clone of Gordon Hayward. How can
you got to be kidding? Gordon Hayward never got the Celtics one game. Jimmy G was one pass away from winning the Super Bowl. Jimmy G's a winner. All he does is win. That's all he does.
Yeah, when he's on the field. Yeah, he wins in signing contracts.
And Jimmy G.
He won. The biggest win was that contract he signed with the 49ers, where they cry every day that they signed it.
Look, Jimmy G is all right. Russ, you just named Darnold, Wentz, Jimmy G, Prescott. Who would you take out of all?
I would look. I would, all kidding aside, because there is continuity. If you were to get Jimmy G, there would be continuity, which is good. He knows the offense, and I think we all want a reasonably quick rebuild, right? Like we all want to be back in the Super Bowl within the next 2 to 3 years. I think it goes without saying. So I would put Jimmy G at the top of the list. And what I would do is if you could get Jimmy G, I then would pick a quarterback sometime in the first 2 or 3 rounds, another developmental quarterback, if you don't think Stidham's the guy, because you not only need Jimmy G, but you should have guys behind him at all times.
Oh, absolutely. And then you could have Cam Newton as your Cam Newton as your backup quarterback.
Scotty, I don't see Cam Newton being a gadget player. I don't see him.
He's a proud man.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. These guys, they love the limelight. And remember, a guy like Cam Newton probably has a couple $1 million shoe contract. He's got a lot of this apparel deals that all he has to do is stay in the NFL, a la Gronk, to get this money. It would be well worth it for him to play the next couple of years, whether it's sitting there holding a clipboard. All right, boys, we have a young defense all of a sudden. A strong offensive line, and now all of a sudden guys like Chase Winovich, Josh Uch, J.C. Jackson, Adam Butler, and Kyle Duggar look like a good foundation for a defense moving forward. All of a sudden, Bill Belichick's personnel moves don't look so bad moving forward.
You know,
another year.
One good thing about not, being at the top of the league right now is our roster will not get looted of free agents at the end of the year. I mean, when you win the Super Bowl, the other teams just come plucking with these mega contracts for guys who have already peaked. So we'll probably be able to retain most of our guys, I'm guessing.
Look, I don't think there's any question that Belichick is pretty good about drafting. He's terrific at drafting offensive linemen. I think that kind of goes without saying. His hit rate on offensive linemen is pretty high. And he's pretty good at drafting guys on defense, especially in the front seven. His problems have been clearly pass catchers. I mean, he's a friggin' disaster. It is awful. Like the 2 tight ends are not going to catch a ball between the 2 of them this year. The wide receiver, the N'Keal Harry, is a bust of epic proportion. He can't draft pass catchers.
Also, that was the best. That was the best text you sent out right after he caught that ball. That was the most blatant offensive wide receiver interference there ever has been.
Horrible. And then, as Joe will remind us, he's good for a really bad defensive back pick every once in a while. But otherwise, front seven and defense, he knows how to draft those guys and sign them.
Well, that's why I say let him draft defense coming up and use that $100 million to buy the offense that he doesn't seem to be able to scout. His scouts and Nick Caserio can't get him a wide receiver.
It's an abomination.
Look, I'm going to just defend N'Keal Harry for just a moment. All I'm going to say is first cut, so you guys can forget that. But he's only 22 years old. So maybe he can figure it out.
I'm going to give you an analogy to N'Keal Harry.
Okay. I know you're going to say why.
He's a waste of flesh. James Young. He's James Young. He's James Young as a football player.
I think you might be right. All I'm just saying is there's got to be some chance. We got to get something out of this first.
There is a zero. The only chance I've heard, and this has been talk show fodder, so it's certainly not me. Is could the guy move to tight end? Could you get something out of him as a move tight end?
No.
No, he's too slow to be a tight end. I think
he'll be cut. He's going to cut him next year.
I'm going to say he's on the team next year because he doesn't want that embarrassment. All right.
Well, they got to pay him anyways. First round draft pick.
You know what?
Anyways.
Useless.
All right, predictions, boys. Patriots versus Rams in the city of Los Angeles. Timmy, who do you got?
I got the Patriots 28-21.
Wow. Uncle Joe?
I don't think the Patriots can score that many points. I hoping they win 17-13.
All right. Russell?
Yeah, close, low-scoring win, 19-16.
Wow. All right. I got them Patriots winning 35-24, and Cam Newton throws 6 yards of passing. Yeah. 6 yards and still wins. All right, Celtics, best player ranking. You know, the season is coming up in less than 2 weeks. Best player ranking came out, which is fun. NBA is just fun all the time. They do everything fun. 4 Celtics in the top 50, Kemba 48, Marcus 37, Jalen 32, and Jason 11. Do you guys have any problem with those rankings?
Well, I think Kemba is.
Marcus Smart is what number?
37.
Wow.
I think healthy Kemba, that's too low, but I think they're factoring in that he's going to be injured. I think when he's healthy, he's in the 20s, low 30s. I also think Brown will move up. I mean, we would expect Jalen to move up that ranking this year to get closer to the mid 20s, probably, right?
I think you're going to see a better Jaylen Brown strictly because Gordon Hayward.
So where did they have Brown? Where was
Boston Garden?
Where was Brown rated? I'm sorry.
30s.
Jaylen Brown was 32. Jason Tatum 11. I think 11 for Jason Tatum is very kind.
Yep.
Sorry, I forgot to look. Did they have Gordon Hayward in that top 50?
Gordon Hayward? Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding.
No, I'm just saying.
I think Gordon Hayward was 11th in the G League when he gets there for rehabilitation.
I just looked for Celtics.
Under over Gordon Hayward. If there's a 72-game season, Gordon Hayward does not play more than 35 games. Over under 35.
I'll go over on that, but
I will. He's due for to play a season.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a great season. I put him in it over 35.
Oh my God, you guys I don't know what you guys smoke. James
I don't know how
Harden.
you can have a great season for a losing team.
Yeah, no, he's a stiff no matter what. Trust me. He'll have his hair nicely combed while he's sitting there in the sidelines next to Michael Jordan. Yep. They can go gamble together.
Looking at his bank,
James Harden.
He'll have his phone in his hand, looking at his bank statements all game while sitting on the bench.
I know. James Harden
Smiling.
is trying to shoot himself out of town. I despise everything James Harden's about. I hate his game. But if you can get James Harden and not give up Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, I think you have to do it, boys.
I hate to watch him.
I
hate that dribble, shoot game.
I hate to watch him, but he's one of the, 15 or 20 best offensive players in the history of the NBA. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. I mean,
right.
I think you knock Tatum and Brown's development back 2 years if you do that. So
I don't know, Timmy. All of a sudden you're going to get they'll never get double teamed ever again. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown offensively are going to be very happy when they get the ball.
Yeah. Look,
so,
at Harden, a lot of these guys reach, as Danny Ainge knew when he brought him in, a lot of these guys reach that point in their career right around the age Harden is, where they're just like, I want to win a title. So Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen all got to their early 30s and were like, screw this. I need a title for my legacy. Yeah. And so Harden could be there.
Well,
he could put them over the
My friend Maury, he loves the GM there, the new GM at Philly, who was at Houston, Maury. But I don't see him winning a title with Philly.
Yeah. Could we fit his contract in? Yeah,
would that trade exception work for Harden, Russ?
You'd have to send a lot of money out. I think he makes over $40 million. So you'd have to look, Marcus Smart would be gone.
Yeah,
sure in that deal.
Right.
And if you sent Smart out with that in that trade exception, you can you could take Harden back into it.
All right, boys. We talked a couple of weeks ago, and I think we mentioned as far as players the Celtics may acquire. We mentioned Evan Turner just briefly. Now, Evan Turner has signed as an assistant coach with the Boston Celtics. If I've ever seen a 16th man on a roster in Evan Turner, there's no question, boys. For playoff time, Evan Turner will be in a Celtics uniform. And
player coach. Yeah, great.
I think with COVID, remember, it's not a football team when you got 50-something guys kicking around plus a taxi squad, right? You've got 15 guys to play with, and you have an outbreak this year. You're going to be looking for people come out of the stands. They all have one on the bench with them who could fill in for 5 games.
Absolutely. And, the Celtics, all basketball teams have problems at times because of injuries, actually being able to scrimmage. They don't have 10 guys. All of a sudden, you got a built-in guy in Evan Turner who can scrimmage. And that means a lot. A lot of these teams can't even practice for long periods of time because they don't have enough healthy bodies. So good pickup by Danny Ainge. Nice little deal to circumvent everything, rosters, salary caps, by doing that. All right. Are there any expectations for Romeo Langford this season? Do we have any?
I think it's going to be a little bit of a wasted year. You may see some more defense out of him, and his ability to play defense will keep him on the court. But I mean, can you see this shot coming around? I mean, that's the whole thing with Romeo is he's either going to be able to shoot it or not, and he's got a wrist injury.
He got the cast off yesterday.
Yeah,
he got the cast off yesterday, so we can't expect him anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the narrative of his career. He got the cast off yesterday.
Yeah, he just didn't show me. He had little flashes here and there. He had some moments, but there wasn't a lot to see there. It looked like a wasted pick, if you ask me.
He looked like Ron Howard in the Happy Days when he played basketball. I needed to say that. I know you guys were the generation you can remember that. All right, we go to the Boston Red Sox. Maybe you heard of him. If the Red Sox signed Corey Kluber, who has had serious arm injuries, and that's their big signing of the year, I'm done.
Yeah.
Aren't we done already?
That's not the kind of solution to their pitching problem that we're all hoping for, right?
Right. Yeah, a guy that once he gets healthy enough to throw off a mound in some high school field, that's the guy we're going to give $15 million a year to.
How's the John Lester watch going there, Scott?
Oh, Johnny has to come. Oh my God, that would just change everything. I just got an email.
He's begging them to come back too. He keeps telling the press he'd love to come back to Boston.
Yeah, give him 3 years, $40 million.
No, 1 year. 1 year.
No, give him 3 years and $40 million.
Offer Kluber and him 1 year each, and I'll take them both in a heartbeat.
No. We need 3 years of John Lester. Just
no,
stop.
The difference. I'd offer Lester 2 years at like 20 million, 25 million. He's not going to do better than that in the market, I don't think.
I want John Lester back at any
what's his fastball at right now?
Look, he's gonna. I don't know. He's gonna end up. It's probably in the low 90s.
It doesn't matter. Scotty wasn't bad.
No, look, we saw Andy Pettit. Pitch into late 30s. I mean, obviously he, and I think maybe even early 40s. Obviously, he had steroids to help him a little bit. But we saw a guy like that. Left-handed pitchers, crafty guys like the Lesters and the Pettits of the world can give you extra years like this at the end of his career, and I expect the same for Lester.
Look, if he can make
he's got the frame for it. He's got the frame to play.
Yeah, I mean, Scott,
he's going to make the switch to the crafty lefty.
Right.
And he can do it. Absolutely. I have faith. One person I do not want to see anymore is Jackie Bradley. I've seen enough. I know all about his defense. Lovely, wonderful. I know he can throw the ball like sitting down, laying down. He can throw it over the center field wall. I get all of it. I can't watch Jackie Bradley with an up at bat for the Boston Red Sox anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
they're so confused.
Yeah, I mean, there's look, they there's not a lot of guys who can play center field, I guess, who are on the market. And so they're sitting there saying, all right, do we move Benintendi to center, which I think is a disaster? Or do we move Verdugo to center, but then we don't have a right fielder? They could end up talking themselves back into JBJ. They could.
Well, I think there's no market for a guy like JBJ. And when you get a lot better players who can be sitting there with lucky to get 1 year, $4 million contract.
It's possible. Yeah.
He's just a way. The sample size is gigantic now. We know exactly what he is.
Yeah.
What did he end up with the batting average last year?
He actually hit like 250 last year, didn't he?
Yeah, but we know it's a
robust 250.
It's a pathetic 250. You got a lot of check swings, balls that went over the third baseman's head and kind of dropped right there. He has some of the worst up at bats I've ever seen in a major league.
Yeah, when he's
pathetic sometimes. He looks bad.
When he's in a slump, it's tough on the eyes.
He can't lay off that high fastball. He misses by a mile too every time.
Just so you know, I got an email yesterday that very exciting that group seats are available now for groups of 50 or more. Because during a pandemic, you want to sell as many 50 or more person packages as possible to watch the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are tone deaf completely now, right? They don't understand this. They think it's 2005.
I'm sure they're desperate, right? They're taking a look at this saying, our team's not good. We're coming out of a pandemic. They're gonna take a beating financially, a beating.
I can tell you today, Sam Kennedy said,
I'd love to see what the season ticket numbers are right now.
To prospective season ticket holders, they're really starting the marketing push because I think they've lost a lot of season ticket holders. They're going after people they've never gone after before.
I know they all of a sudden started. I know they're bothering you, Russ. They started bothering me. They were ignoring me completely.
Yeah, I've gotten some stuff from them. I'm sure they're dredging the bottom of the email marketing list right now.
Thanks. That's me now. Okay, I appreciate it. Only the season ticket holder of the decade. All right, go to the Bruins. All right, jeez, I never get any respect. I never get it. All right, Bruins supposedly going to start January 15th, but Jeremy Jacobs. I don't know how old Jeremy Jacobs is, but he doesn't clearly want to see the Bruins ever play in his lifetime. He wants to quash the whole season.
Of course. I'm sure they, don't have to pay the players. He owns the building. He doesn't have to pay any rent, right? Yep. He's got plenty of other concession stuff. That's sad.
I mean, that's birthday parties. Hockey depends a lot on in-person money. They don't have the big TV contracts like the other ones. So if they're not filling the stadium and they're not getting that spectator money in person, they're in a different league than the other major sports.
I know we live in a cancel culture and everybody wants to cancel things and end things. They just get a thrill for that particular night. But I have to be honest, if you were to cancel the NHL season, I don't know how you come back. I don't know what form you come back in 2021, to be honest with you. I think that would be a deadly move in their part.
I do too. Yeah, you may lose some franchises. You may lose 2, 3, 4 franchises if you did that.
Especially the U.S., like the Phoenixes and Dallases and Nashvilles. It would set the NHL back 10 years, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Look, as far as spectator sports, people spending big money to go see events moving forward. It just, people are not going to go to see a bad team play anymore, where they used to do that.
Yeah, look, they're not going to cancel this season. I would bet you anything. They've got too much money riding on it. They have the new franchise in Seattle, the Kraken. I mean, they're not canceling this season. It's not going to happen.
Got these new divisions. It looks like it might be a little more interesting. We're going to be playing the New York teams and the Capitals a lot more. We're not going to be playing Toronto and Tampa.
Yeah.
Well, I know Timmy, as a season ticket holder to the Bruins, could be more excited about watching 20, 30 games this season from Fenway Park in
oh my
February.
God.
I know it's beautiful. in February at Fenway.
I sat for the Winter Classic. I sat behind the third base dugout, and I had no clue what was going on at the time. I mean, it's the worst place on the planet to watch a hockey game. They'd be better off playing over at BC or BU or Gillette Stadium was a better place to watch it. I mean, nothing's worse than a baseball park to watch a hockey game.
And of course, the Red Sox will rent to anyone, whoever will pay the freight. They could care less.
Circus is anything.
I mean, I truly think BC would be a better outlet for them.
It's a good idea, Tim.
Harvard Stadium, how's that?
Harvard Stadium.
We could sit on those concrete stairs. Sit on those concrete stairs like I did watching the Patriots get annihilated back in the 70s, 60s, whatever it was.
Yeah, that'd be very comfortable for a 58-year-old man in February. Yeah, you should really consider that. Jeez. All right, well, that's our show for tonight. Want to thank Corbin behind the scenes. Want to thank, of course, the fellas. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.